Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Backbone Podcast, where common sense still makes sense in a world that is sick and only getting sicker. And I might have to add the word creepy or creepier into my opening because this whole thing over the last 2 weeks with this Charlie Kirk and now this Erika Kirk has just gotten so bizarre. The videos that I've seen and some of the videos that you've probably seen, and the story that is just broke today about this Jezebel magazine and witches and curses. This is just outrageous. And it just goes to show when you are so disconnected to God, and Charlie Kirk was disconnected. Don't tell me he was a God-fearing man. He denounced the Catholic Church. That's Jesus's church. He believed in Diet Coke Protestantism and evangelicalism, and that's not close to God. That's a man-made religion. That's not Jesus's church. So it's getting weirder and weirder and weirder. And some of the videos that I was looking at this past week or the week over the weekend leading up to today with this Erika Kirk. And let me tell you something. You know, when I was growing up, we had a relative who was a beautiful, beautiful woman. If you saw pictures of her when she was younger, she looked like Elizabeth Taylor. Jet black hair, aqua blue eyes, just beautiful. And she married a man. This is, of course, in the late 1960s. She married a man who owned, I think he was like 5 or 6 supermarkets, and he owned the buildings of those supermarkets. She marries him, has I think 3 kids with him or a couple of kids. And then one day he goes upstairs to take a nap and he never wakes up. So, you figure 1960s, people really didn't take care of themselves like they do today. They smoked, they drank like animals. He probably died of a heart attack. There was no foul play. And in those days, of course, medicine couldn't find that if it was. So she inherits, of course, all the businesses and the money and all that other good stuff. And she sells everything. Now, in those days, I think my mother told me she made out with almost $3 million, which doesn't sound like a lot of money today. But back in 1969, 1970, that must have been an enormous sum of money. About 10 years later, as the story goes, as I used to overhear the hens cackling, she married an even richer man in New York. And he owned parcels of land in Tribeca, which at the time was a hell zone, and parcels of land out in the Hamptons, undeveloped land. She marries him, right? Now, this guy was older, and he had children that were late teens, early 20s at the time. She marries him. They were married for a few years. One day he goes upstairs, takes a nap, doesn't wake up. Now, here's the funny part about this story. He left everything to her. He left all the money, all the real estate, stocks, bonds, all that shit, all the liquidated stuff, the boat, the cars, the houses. He left it all to her, not to the kids. So she was in complete control of the estate. And I think from, you know how relatives are. Everybody has a different number. From what I heard people saying, she cashed in about this is 1977, 78, about $35 million. And the kids, when they got a little older, they tried to fight her on this. And, in those days, again, like I said, things were different then. You're married to the guy leaves you everything. That's it. And the story is that this woman, this aunt of relatives, she was like an aunt. She murdered these 2 guys for profit. Now, what does this have to do with Erika Kirk? I am in no way insinuating that Erika Kirk murdered or had anything to do with the murder of Charlie Kirk. However, she has benefited huge from this. I mean, she's now the CEO of this Turning Point USA, which is probably generating hundreds of millions of dollars. You can look at her over here. She is a former Miss Arizona. She is hot to trot. Trust me, she's got guys already scheming to tap that. Already. Not even just to sleep with her. There are guys who, if they're smart, they're going to play the long game. But there are guys who are looking to sew that up. You'd have to be an idiot not to. She is hot, beautiful, blonde, blue eyes. And when I saw that speech that she gave on Sunday, call me cynical and black-hearted, I don't care. I was talking to somebody who is a big Trumper, who was, she believes everything Trump says. I said, a regular white person doesn't do that. Can't do that. She goes, what are you talking about? I says, look at the way she's acting. That's an acting job. That's beautiful. The applause pause was perfectly done. The looking up at the sky, the crying, the sense memory that was used, or method acting that was used, and that's what it was. That's what it was. It was all rehearsed. She's not a great actress. She's not Meryl Streep, but she did very, very well. And I says, regular people just don't do that. There's got to be a little Dago in there, a little bit of Dago in there. And sure enough, this Trumper that I talked to, she looked her up, and yeah, there's a little Italian in old Erika. You can't do that regularly. A regular person from Ohio can't do that type of job. Now, I'm going to show you some videos here. You might have seen these, but we'll go over them together. That are very, very. It's creepy, and it's very. Nick Fuentes. I'm seeing him. He's all over it. It's going over the top now. The videos are over the top. The martyrdom of this guy, Charlie Kirk, over top. And nobody even cares about Charlie Kirk anymore. Now it's gotten into the political spin machine, right? You ever watch debate? Nobody cares what they have to say about the debate after the debate's over. Now it's all about the spin. This is now the political machine and the political spin. They are going to have Democrat, liberal, progressives who are demonic. We all know that, and we have a story on that after I get done with the Erika deep dive. Democrats are going to keep tabs on this woman for the next 20 years. There are people talking about her being a vice presidential candidate in 28, which is ridiculous. Ridiculous. They're talking about her being the next governor of Arizona. They're talking about her leading a revolution for Christianity. Now, she is Catholic, and supposedly she ran a Catholic household. Now, if Charlie Kirk was a strong, vibrant man that everybody believes he was, he wouldn't have allowed that. He didn't believe in Catholicism. He was a lost boy. He was a weak, naive, lost boy. And he did anything he could to keep this girl happy. Because I don't believe for one moment that this chick here, who has been on television as an actress, who is Miss Arizona, whose father worked in the Pentagon, whose mother was very influential in the state of Arizona, there is no way on God's green earth she would have looked at Charlie Kirk, who was a nobody when they met, a zero, and said, yeah, I got to have that. That's the man of my dreams. I mean, if you all fall for the whole they fell in love during a job interview story, you know what? I got bridges to sell you in New York. A girl who looks like her, with her family connections, she's not marrying some dude who's starting a podcast called Turning Point USA. She's going for senator. She's going for major doctor. She's going for a major lawyer with political aspirations. She's going for someone that is on her tier, and she's high maintenance tier. Make no bones about it. She knew Donald Trump. She won a contest. She was in a contest that has Trump's name on the back of it. This girl was no ordinary girl next door. Believe me, this is not the trad wife all of you want to think she is. And we're going to show you some of these videos, which I didn't even remember her being in some of these things. This is her in a clip from a show called Summer House. This was on Broadway. I don't watch reality TV, but I do know people, and I've worked in for some episodes, associate producing episodes of some reality TV shows. I knew a woman that worked for the Jersey Shore. There's nothing reality about reality TV. Everything is scripted. Everything is planned and all set up. But this is Erika. We see her right there, and she's Jordan's date. She's going to meet this guy, Jordan, who I think is a virgin in this thing because he's very Christian. And Erika is looking pretty darn good. This is post Charlie. Post Charlie. This is pre Charlie. Now, again, she's on TV. I mean, it's reality TV, but she made it. She made it on television. Many of us don't get to make it on TV. It's very hard. It's not easy. Took Charlie a long time, and he had to go through social media because nobody's putting that face on TV. But here she is, beautiful, blonde, bubbly, and ready to go. Let's check out this clip. It's very low. Some guys covered in jewelry, looking good, and drinking alcohol.
Beautiful blonde hair, her smile, her radiance. I can tell that she's got not only outward beauty, but in her beauty, and that's what I'm looking for in a woman. So, how do you two ladies know each other?
We were in Miss USA together.
Oh, cool.
So she was Arizona and I was from Arizona.
Congrats.
I have to tell you something. You and I matched on Bumble like a year ago. Yeah, I never went anywhere. So I said, hey. And Jordan goes, he's with me. Happy friends.
So they're talking about meeting on Bumble, those two. This is Miss North Carolina.
I want to meet somebody with the same beliefs. I'm like a really big Christian. I'm like,
So you wouldn't meet him at church or anything?
it's tough because like I watch it online. I don't think I've ever met anybody that's like, hey, everybody go to church like that.
I know that two different churches. It's tough to be a believer in the city.
Yeah.
I think you're right, like in a very dark place.
So let's go grab my window. We'll go right there.
And there she goes with Jordan. Now, you see that pretty face, and I get it. She was very, very. It was a very distraught moment. There are rumors and conspiracy theories, and you're going to get this a lot when situations like this happen, especially now with social media. But there are people who believe that this might be a body double here. I don't believe so. That would be way too. These people are not that important, and they're not doing anything important. This is not presidential. It's not papal. This is not high level politics here. Are they martyring this guy? Are they using this guy because you can't let a good crisis go to waste? Yeah, of course. Nobody gives a shit about Charlie Kirk. Let's just be very honest. Donald Trump was politicizing that memorial. He was passing his agenda. And he's at the UN today or yesterday and today, and not a mention. It's passed. He's in the ground. It's over. He's yesterday's news. But here is this speech that she gave that I'm sure you all saw. I'd like you to pay attention. You're not going to watch all 16 minutes of it, obviously, but I'd like you to pay attention to the eyes, the hands, and just the way she puts her head up and down. When you put your head up, if you've ever taken any acting lessons or any sort of method acting lessons, most of the time when you get ready to get into character, you put your head down to focus. It's just what we do. And you go up to act. Tell me if you see that in here, because I see it all over the place.
Jesus.
Yes, for Jesus.
Good evening. My name is Erika Kirk. Charlie Kirk is my husband. I first want to thank the local, state, and federal law enforcement who worked tirelessly to capture my husband's assassin so that he can be brought to justice. I want to thank the first responders who struggled heroically to save Charles's life, and the police who acted bravely to make sure that there were no other victims on that terrible afternoon. I want to thank the officers who have protected our Turning Point USA family these past 2 days. And I want to thank the Turning Point USA board, the COO, Justin Strife, and my husband's chief of staff, the amazing Mikey McCoy, for all their work in these terrible days to be the stability for our family and for the wider Turning Point USA family as well. My heart is with every one of my husband's employees who lost a friend and a mentor. I want to thank the staffers of his amazing Charlie Kirk show, who helped him broadcast from this studio, this chair.
Listen, again, maybe I'm just way too cynical. And you're going to say, hey, man, she's reading off paper. Of course, her head's going up and down. This guy was recording at a studio. He was never looking at computers or papers. He was reading off a teleprompter. Why didn't they do that for her? It's so much easier. But this is very, it makes you think. It just makes you think. It's the grieving widow mourning the fallen hero. And we've seen this movie before, in the movies. A lot of people don't recognize this. A lot of people think she's being brave, and maybe she is. Again, this is all just my half-ass speculation, but I'll give you a couple of more seconds.
Every day he loved it. He loved what he did. I want to thank the millions of people who have shown their love for Charlie here in Phoenix, across America, and worldwide.
Notice there you see when she is touching the chair, and then she gets into this whole thing, oh, he loved it. He loved it. She then gets serious again, getting back into the dialogue. And then she smiles when she says America, and then loses the smile when she says the world. Why? Well, the world doesn't mean anything to her. Iceland, Italy, Germany. It's about America. She needs to keep the money flowing here. Nobody cares about Turning Point USA in Brussels. So these are all things, if you think that these are accidents or this is just, her being nervous, these are all rehearsed, acted, pointed out. I've been in those sessions. You tell people how to answer questions. Now, if she's a grieving widow who's very private, who doesn't want to be in the spotlight, she's not doing all this. She wants to read that statement and get the fuck out of there. But this is a 16-minute, 42-second session that you're going to be put through of her writing the speech. And this is copy. This is not a speech she wrote. This is a professional speech that was written for her. This is 48 hours after Charlie Kirk's death. Most people would be in delirium. Not Erika. Homegirl was in front of a camera, looking good, hair straightened, and ready to rock, ready to roll. She was on it. And she did pretty well. But this is where it bothers me the most. And this is where a lot of conspiracy theories are coming. This is a video of her taking pictures of Charlie Kirk in his coffin and her kissing his hands. Now, There is a big ring on her finger with the letter G on it, and of course, everyone's going to think it's messianic. Of course they are. She had a ton of jewelry on. A ton of jewelry on. For the memorial thing and for this. And there are people who are saying that the hands aren't real, that it's a mannequin, it's to this, it's to that. I don't know. Again, I don't think this Charlie Kirk faked his death. He doesn't have the power to do that. He doesn't know. He wouldn't have had the influence to do such a thing. Why? Why would you fake your own death? He didn't. That's ridiculous to even bring it up. But the speculation is so crazy. And this is just so creepy to me. And I have been to Italian wakes, and I always found it creepy that they take pictures of the dead body in the casket. I don't know why they do it. Again, like I said, this girl's half WAP, just like me. Well, I'm full WAP. But maybe she's into it. I don't know. This just seems very cringy to me, and very weird, and very just over the top. And again, God forgive me if I'm wrong, and I probably am wrong, and I'm not accusing her of anything. It's just, to me, this is just bizarre. Here it is.
Oh, I love you. I love you. I love you. I know. I love you. I love you. God bless you. Oh, I love you.
All right. So enough of that nonsense, because I've had it with this. I've had it with this story. I've had it with Charlie Kirk. I've had it with the whole thing. I just think that it's we've gone too far with this. Now we get to the bizarre, evil, demonic part of this. It seems that a newspaper called Jezebel has been caught in a controversy that old Megyn Kelly is not happy about. And let me tell you something. When Megyn is pissed off, she looks so damn hot. She gets all, feisty and everything. Her husband must get it hard when these stories come out. He must be so happy when these stories come out and she's pissed off, because his back probably can't walk the next day. His back gives it. But grieving widow Erika Kirk was genuinely rattled when feminist website Jezebel published an unsettling story bragging how an author of the magazine, of the website, paid witches on Etsy. I thought Etsy was like an arts and crafts thing. Paid witches on Etsy to curse her husband, Charlie, days before the conservative icon was assassinated. This was reported by Megyn Kelly on Tuesday. Kelly ripped left the outlet for publishing the article, which left the couple shaken and seeking prayer from a Catholic priest the night before the influencer was gunned down in Utah, September 10th. This is another indication that Charlie Kirk was a very weak man. If I was married to a woman, and I can't say never, but I don't think I'm never going to get married again. But I wouldn't marry a woman that didn't have my religious beliefs. There's way too much conflict there. A Catholic doesn't marry a Jew. Protestant doesn't marry a Muslim. It's just way too. It's just too much. There's conflicting stories. How does Charlie Kirk open up and talk to a Catholic priest and take advice from a Catholic priest over something like this if he holds the Catholic Church, if he thinks the Catholic Church is wrong on their teachings? How does he do it? I mean, he was a weak hypocrite. Let's be honest. But enough. According to Kelly, and I quote, "This is what I want you all and the people at Jezebel and Etsy to know," Kelly seethed on her Sirius XM show. Kelly went on to say, Erika and Charlie Kirk heard about these curses, and the news genuinely rattled Erika in particular. She knew Christian teachings on the subject. She loved Charlie, absolutely. And she was scared when she heard of the curses Jezebel had pulled up. The twisted article slammed the 31-year-old Kirk and they slammed him as a far-right misogynist. An unnamed reporter detailing how she paid witches on the global online marketplace for, and I quote, multiple curses to punish him for his, quote, years of regressive rhetoric. 2 days later, alleged assassin, I should say, Tyler Robinson, 22, fired a fatal bullet that pierced the father of two in his neck, and he spoke to thousands during his first stop of the American Comeback Tour in Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. Now, this is a long clip. This is about 14 minutes. I am not going to play this whole thing, but just look at her. Oh, she's so pissed off. Let's take a look. Let's get a couple of minutes of Miss Megyn Kelly over here.
Sort of out of left field story to bring to you, and then I want to start with it. I've been wrestling with whether to bring you this story for a few days now. I've been wrestling because I find it so vile and off and odd. I wasn't even sure where to go with it. But I decided that I had to do it because the groups who did this deserve public censure. I learned when I was out in Arizona last week that 2 weeks before Charlie Kirk was assassinated, the far-left website Jezebel declared that it had a mission to cast bad luck or a curse on Charlie. They wanted to hurt him in some way. They declared, quote, if the far-right misogynist with a bad haircut wants to villainize independent women, Jezebel is more than happy to be the hag of his nightmares. And they went on to the website Etsy, yes, Etsy, to, quote, cast a curse on him. Yes, this is actually a thing. Etsy, the website known for making arts and crafts on demand, will happily cast a hex through its witches, who you can hire, on someone if you ask them to. The Jezebel crew was delighted to discover, quote, it's not uncommon for the so-called witches on Etsy to channel their energy toward thwarting Republicans. There's even a subreddit devoted to casting nightly hexes on Trump. Jezebel decided Charlie Kirk, who they've repeatedly described as far right, the founder of the right-wing conspiracy theory factory, Turning Point USA, is, quote, more irritating than most, and asked its audience if they were, quote, interested in punishing Kirk for years of regressive rhetoric with a curse, with a hex on him. After all, they told readers, he's basically a fake news vending machine. The article notably does not list the name of any particular author, but simply uses its company name as the byline. So we don't know exactly which writer or staffer at Jezebel, which has long been a disgusting publication, came up with the idea. But since they're attributing it to all of them, so will we in terms of our blame. It was, in fact, the brainchild of one writer, however, because it is written in the first person, a female. The writer explains now, is it ethical to curse a man I've never met? Probably not. But is it unethical to let him keep talking? Yes. Now comes the obligatory ass-covering paragraph in the piece, just to stave off any negative publicity for Jezebel. Quote, I want to make it clear I'm not calling on dark forces to cause him harm. I just want him to wake up every morning with an inexplicable zit. I want his podcast microphone to malfunction every time he hits record. I want his blue blazers to suddenly all be one size too small. I want one of his socks to always be sliding down his foot. I want his thumb to grow too big to tweet, to ruin his day with the collective feminist power of the Etsy coven would be my life's greatest joy. So even in her ass covering, she was asking for Charlie to be rendered less attractive, to not be able to use his microphone and silence his voice, to have discomfort foisted upon him, to stop his ability to tweet or spread his message, and to, quote, ruin his day. Got it? That's the nice part of the Jezebel article.
Now, is this all silly? Yes, of course it is. Are Democrat, liberal, progressives demonic? Absolutely. Absolutely. They are the most evil, sick people that you'll ever see. Now, the only thing good about liberal, Democrat, progressives is that they're retarded. They'll die out. They don't believe in procreation. They believe in abortion. So they'll eventually die out. But they are demonic, and they will try to kill you, as we've seen, as we saw today in Dallas, Texas, at the shooting at the ICE facility. But Megyn, I think she's going too much into this. I mean, it's probably more of a stupid article. Who even knows if they did this? They probably just thought this up and thought it would be funny. I always thought, I had a friend who uses Etsy for stuff, but it's more like arts and crafts shit. I didn't think you could find witches on there, but there are a lot of women on Etsy, so there are probably a lot of crazy witches on there. But as this story continues, as this whole Kirk saga plays out, and hopefully it comes to an end soon. I'm thinking by the end of this week, we'll probably be over it. It's starting to wane down now. Because it's too much now. It's just boring. Let the guy rest in peace. And hopefully he's come to terms with his maker. And it will keep tabs on this woman here, Erika, because I'm going to tell you something. Everything she does now is going to be under a microscope. Every little thing. And she's in for it. She's in for it, especially if she sticks with this turning point thing. All right. Well, there's my 2 cents. Thank you again for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Be careful out there, my friends. As you can see, there are lots of demons out there. Satan is always busy and his army is always ready. Be a man. Have a backbone, because masculinity and common sense are worth standing up for. And remember, if it ends in an ism, it's a mental disorder. We'll see you later.